The massive space station floated silently in the void, its crystalline walls reflecting the light of distant stars inside the grand assembly hall. Hundreds of alien beings from across the galaxy had gathered for another routine membership. Evaluation. The air hummed with different languages and the soft glow of various life support systems. Ambassador Velthara adjusted her flowing silver robes as she reviewed the data pad in her six-fingered hands. Buzridian had overseen 43 membership applications in her long career, and this one seemed no different from the others. Another primitive species from the Outer Rim, seeking protection and trade opportunities, species designation, human. She announced to the assembly, origin, third planet, Sol system, Orionarm. Her voice carried easily through the vast chamber. Standard evaluation protocols indicate basic space travel capability, limited energy production, and minimal military presence. General Krexavar shifted his massive bulk in the reinforced chair designed for his species, the -1-foot-tall warrior, had scales that gleamed like polished armor, and his forearms drummed impatiently on the metal armrests, another weak species seeking our protection. He growled to his aide. The Council wastes time with these applications. War Commander Thaindok of the Hegemony clicked his mandibles in agreement. His insectoid features showed clear disdain as he studied his own data pad. Their entire home system produces less energy than a single one of our mining stations. The great doors of the assembly hall opened with a soft hiss. Two humans walked in, their footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. The gathered aliens had expected a large delegation with elaborate ceremonies, but only these two representatives appeared. Captain Lee Jin-ho wore a simple blue uniform with minimal decorations. His black hair was neatly combed, and his face showed no sign of nervousness despite being surrounded by beings who could crush him without effort. Beside him, Dr. Park Sumin carried nothing but a small data tablet, her white lab coat looking almost casual in the formal setting. "Welcome to the Galactic Council," Velthara said, her tone polite but condescending. "We have reviewed your application for membership. Your species shows adequate development for basic interstellar travel." She paused, studying the humans with curious eyes. "However, our deep space sensors indicate very limited military capabilities and primitive energy manipulation technology." Captain Lee bowed slightly, a gesture that seemed strange to the assembled aliens. "We are honored by your consideration, Ambassador Velthara. The question before us," continued the Zeridian diplomat, "is what humanity can contribute to the galactic community. Your industrial output is minimal. Your defensive capabilities are nearly non-existent, and your technological advancement appears to have stalled at basic fusion power." General Krexavar leaned forward, his massive frame creaking the chair. "My scouts have surveyed your space. 12 colonies on barely habitable worlds, a few mining operations, and what you call a space fleet that consists of modified cargo haulers." His laugh was like grinding stone. "What makes your species believe you deserve to sit among the galactic powers?" Dr. Park stepped forward, her expression calm and measured. "General Krexavar, our records show your empire has conquered 47 star systems through military force. An impressive achievement." "Impressive." The general's eyes narrowed. "It is the natural order. The strong take what they need. The weak serve or perish. Your species understands this." "Yes, we understand many things," Captain Lee replied quietly, "including the fact that what your sensors have detected represents approximately 1% of our actual capabilities." The statement hung in the air like a physical presence. Several aliens made sounds that might have been laughter, while others simply stared. Ambassador Velthara tilted her head, a gesture that indicated confusion. "In her species, 1%. War Commander Thaindok's mandibles clicked rapidly. "Your entire home system barely registers on our threat assessment grid." Are you claiming your species has been somehow hiding vast military installations? We prefer not. 2. Discuss our full capabilities in such public settings, Dr. Park said, glancing round the assembly hall. But if the Council requires a demonstration of our technological achievements, we would be happy to provide one. General Krexavar slammed one of his massive fists on the armrest. Enough games. The Dominion fleet alone commands over 3,000 Star Destroyers. Each one could reduce your home world to cosmic dust. You expect us to believe that your dozen cargo ships represent some hidden threat? Captain Lee exchanged a quick glance with Dr. Park. Something passed between them, a silent communication that made several of the more observant aliens shift uncomfortably in their seats. We expect nothing, Captain Lee said finally. We simply offer the truth if the Council wishes to see what humanity has actually accomplished. We welcome the opportunity to show you. Ambassador Velthara studied the two humans carefully. In her centuries of diplomatic service, she had learned to read body language across dozens of species. These humans showed no signs of deception, no nervous tells that usually accompanied wild claims. They stood calmly, almost casually, as if surrounded by friends rather than beings who could order their extinction with a word. Very well, she announced. The Council accepts your offer. Choose an uninhabited system for your demonstration. The Council chamber filled with excited chatter as news of the human demonstration spread through TH. He assembled delegates. Ambassador Velthara called for order, her crystalline staff striking the floor with a clear ringing sound that silenced the crowd. The humans have agreed to prove their claims, she announced. We must select an appropriate location for this display. She gestured to the holographic star map that materialized above the assembly. The demonstration must take place in an uninhabited system to avoid any potential damage to civilian populations. War Commander Thaindok S. mandibles clicked with amusement. How considerate of them to worry about collateral damage from their cargo haulers. General Krexavar studied the star map with professional interest. His forearms moved independently as he manipulated the display, zooming in on various systems. Here, he said, pointing to a distant cluster of red dots, the Kepler 638 system. 3 dead worlds orbiting a dying star. Nothing of value. Perfect for watching these humans embarrass themselves. Dr. Park nodded politely. Kepler 638 will serve our purposes adequately. Your purposes. Ambassador Velthar raised what passed for an eyebrow among her species. You speak as if you have actual plans rather than desperate bluffs. Captain Lee Jin-ho remained silent, but his calm expression never wavered. The other delegates began to murmur among themselves, some placing bets on how quickly the human demonstration would fail. I predict their ship will malfunction before reaching the target system, laughed Commander Zixtel of the Trade Federation. These primitive species always overestimate their technology. No, disagreed General Krexavar, his scaled face showing a predatory grin. They will reach the system and fire their pitiful weapons at empty space, claiming they hit invisible targets. A classic desperate gambit. The preparations took 3 days. The massive Council fleet assembled at the edge of Kepler 638, over 200 vessels of various sizes and designs. Flagship carriers from the major powers floated alongside smaller scout ships and scientific vessels. Every species wanted to witness what they expected would be humanity's humiliation, the human ship arrived exactly on schedule. The vessel called Harmony looked almost comically small beside the alien dreadnoughts. Its hull was smooth white metal with no visible weapon ports or shield generators. To the experienced military observers, it appeared to be exactly what their intelligence had suggested. A converted research vessel pretending to be something more dangerous. That thing could not threaten a cargo hauler, muttered General Krexavar to his bridge crew. Look at it. No armor plating, no missile tubes, no energy weapon rays. What do they plan to do? Ram asteroids. Commander Kim Min-soo's voice crackled over the communication channels from the Harmony. Council fleet. This is the human vessel. We are ready to begin the demonstration when you give the word. Ambassador Velthar settled into her observation. Chair aboard the Council flagship. Banks of recording equipment surrounded her, ready to document another species' overconfident failure. Human vessel. You may proceed at your discretion. The alien observers watched their sensors carefully. The Harmony simply hung in space, showing no unusual energy readings or mechanical activity. Its reactor output remained at standard levels, its few visible systems operating normally. Are they having technical difficulties? Asked War Commander Thando K. Perhaps their primitive technology has failed them already. On the bridge of the Harmony, Commander Kim Min-soo sat quietly in his captain's chair. His crew of 12 moved about their duties with casual efficiency, showing none of the tension that should have accompanied such an important moment. Chief Engineer Yoon Hae-jin checked her instruments one final time. All systems show green across the board. She reported, grid connections are stable, phase generators are online, and stellar tap is drawing nominal power from the local star. Kim Min-soo nodded and reached for a simple red button on his command console. Council fleet, please ensure your sensors are recording. What you are about to witness represents standard human defensive capabilities. He pressed the button for several seconds. Nothing appeared to happen. The alien ships continued their sensor sweeps, finding no change in the local space around the Harmony. Some delegates began to chuckle, preparing their mocking comments about human incompetence. Then space itself began to shimmer. The effect started small, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. But it spread quickly, encompassing vast areas around. The human ship, reality seemed to bend and twist as something enormous began to phase into existence. What is that? Gasped Ambassador Velthara, her usual composure cracking as her instruments began screaming warnings. Massive structures materialized out of nothingness. Not ships, but colossal installations that stretched for kilometers in every direction. Their surfaces were covered in geometric patterns that seemed to shift and move, defying the eye's attempt to focus on them. General Krexavar's bridge erupted in chaos as his tactical officer shouted reports. Sir, energy readings are off the scale. These structures are drawing power directly from the system star. Impossible. He snarled, but his voice lacked conviction. The installations dwarfed even his largest dreadnoughts, making the entire Council fleet look like toys floating beside monuments. Commander Kim's voice remained perfectly calm. Council fleet, what you are observing are standard defense grid installations, Mark 7 configuration. Each platform is capable of channeling stellar energy with surgical precision. The aliens sat in stunned silence as more structures continued to materialize, their sensors finally able to detect what had been hidden right in front of them all along. The massive structures hung in space like sleeping giants, their surfaces rippling with contained energy that made the alien sensors scream warnings. Chief Engineer Yoon Hae-jin's voice echoed across the communication channels from the human ship Harmony. Platform 7 is now online and ready for a demonstration, she announced calmly, as if discussing the weather rather than weapons that dwarfed entire fleets. General Krexavar gripped the arms of his command chair so hard that the metal began to bend under his claws. This is impossible. Our deep space sensors would have detected construction of this magnitude. Your sensors detect what we allow them to detect, replied Commander Kim Min-soo from the Harmony. We have been perfecting selective phase displacement for over 2 centuries. These installations exist in parallel dimensional space until activated. Ambassador Velthara watched her readouts with growing horror. Each human platform was drawing energy directly from the system's dying star, channeling power outputs that exceeded the total energy production of most galactic civilizations. How much power are these things generating? Dr. Park Sumin answered from her position aboard the Harmony. Each installation can focus the equivalent of a star's full energy output into a beam roughly the width of a pencil, a precision allows US to perform very specific demonstrations. War Commander Thaindok's mandibles clicked frantically as he processed the implications. You could destroy planets with that kind of power. We could do many things, Captain Legionho said quietly. For this demonstration, we will simply remove the second planet from this system. Remove it, squeaked Commander Zixtel from his trade vessel. You mean destroy it? No. Kim Minsu corrected. Remove it. Complete molecular disintegration is more accurate than destruction. Watch your sensors carefully. The nearest platform began to rotate slowly. Its geometric pattern shifting into new configurations, the surface that had looked solid now revealed itself to be composed of millions of tiny components, all moving in perfect harmony. Energy began to build along its length, visible as streams of contained starlight flowing through crystalline channels. All vessels maintain current positions, announced Chief Engineer Yoon. Energy discharge in 30 seconds. The alien fleet watched in fascination and terror as power continued to build within the human installation. Their most advanced instruments could barely measure the forces being contained and focused. The platform's surface now blazed with the light of a captured star. Energy discharge in 10 seconds. Yoon's voice remained perfectly steady. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Firing. A beam of impossible brightness lanced out from the platform. It was not the crude energy blast that alien weapons produced, but something far more elegant and terrifying. The beam struck the system's second planet, a dead rock the size of Earth's moon. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the planet simply ceased to exist, not destroyed in an explosion of debris and fire, not cracked apart by overwhelming force, but erased as completely as if it had never been there at all. Where a world had orbited moments before, there was now only empty space and fading energy signatures. The alien fleet fell silent. Even the background hum of their ship systems seemed muted in the face of what they had just witnessed. How? Whispered General Krexavar, his warriors' training unable to process weapons that could unmake matter itself. Quantum field manipulation, Dr. Park explained. We break the fundamental bonds that hold atoms together, then disperse the resulting energy harmlessly into space. Very clean, very precise, and completely reversible if we choose. Reversible. Ambassador Velthar's voice cracked with strain. We could restore that planet exactly as it was, down to the last grain of sand, Kim Minsu confirmed. But for the purposes of this demonstration, its removal should be sufficient. Commander Zixtel checked his instruments 3 times before speaking. My sensors show no debris, no energy release, no gravitational disturbance. The planet is simply gone. Our weapons do not waste energy on unnecessary destruction, Chief Engineer Yoon said. Every joule is precisely controlled and directed. This is why we call them surgical tools rather than weapons of war. War Commander Thaindok found his voice, though it trembled with fear. How many of these installations do you have in this system? 27 platforms, though only 7 are currently visible to your sensors, Kim replied. The others remain in phase displacement for security reasons. I meant in total. Thaindok pressed. Across all human space, there was a Long pause before Dr. Park answered. Our current defense grid consists of approximately 14,000 installations of various sizes and capabilities. This demonstration used a standard Mark 7 platform, which represents our basic defensive technology. The number hit the alien fleet like a physical blow. 14,000 installations, each capable of erasing planets from existence. The Council's combined military forces suddenly seemed pathetically inadequate. Your basic technology, General Krexavar repeated. Slowly, yes, our Mark 12 platforms can manipulate stellar cores directly, while our Mark 15 installations can affect multiple star systems simultaneously. But we rarely need such capabilities for normal defensive operations. Ambassador Veldara stared at the empty space where a planet had existed moments before. The implications were staggering. Humanity possessed the power to reshape the galaxy itself, yet they had hidden it completely from every major civilization's detection systems. Why? She finally asked. Why hide this level of technological advancement? Captain Lee's voice carried a note of sadness, because we learned long ago that revealing such capabilities to early leads to fear, and fear leads to war. We prefer peace. The silence stretched across the communication channels as the alien fleet tried to process what they had witnessed. A planet had simply vanished, erased from existence by technology that defied everything they understood about warfare and physics. Admiral Baek Du-hyun's image suddenly materialized in the space above the Council flagship. The hologram showed a middle-aged human man in a crisp military uniform, standing in what appeared to be a command center filled with displays showing star maps and fleet positions. "Greetings, honored delegates of the Galactic Council," Admiral Baek said with a polite bow. "I am Admiral Baek Du-hyun, Supreme Commander of Human Defense Forces. I apologize for our long deception, but we felt it was necessary for the safety of all civilizations in this galaxy." General Krexavar found his voice first, though it sounded strained. "Deception? You mean there are more installations like the ones we just witnessed?" The hologram gestured. And suddenly the space round the alien fleet filled with three-dimensional star maps. Red dots appeared throughout the display, each one marking a human installation or colony. But instead of the 12 systems the Council knew about, hundreds of markers fill the map. "We currently maintain active defense grids round 200 and 37 star systems," Admiral Beck explained calmly. "Each system contains between 15 and 50 installations, depending on strategic importance and local threats." Ambassador Velthar's hands shook as she tried to count the markers. 237 systems. Our intelligence reports indicated you controlled only 12 colonies. "Those are our public colonies," Dr. Park Soo-min interjected. "From the Harmony, the ones we allow your scouts to discover, we have found that species react better to gradual revelation rather than sudden shock." War Commander Thane Dark's mandibles clicked rapidly as he processed the implications. "You have been observing us for centuries while pretending to be primitive. Why?" Admiral Beek's expression grew serious. "Because we learned from watching galactic history. Every species that revealed their full capabilities too early became either conquerors or targets for conquest. We chose a third path, patient observation and hidden strength." A new voice joined the transmission, clear and confident. "This is Lieutenant Colonel Ojimin, speaking from Outer Rim Defense Command." Another hologram appeared, showing a woman in a different style of uniform standing before massive displays showing fleet movements. "We have been protecting the galaxy's outer edges from threats that your civilizations have never detected." "What threats?" General Krexavar demanded, his warrior instincts finally overcoming his shock. "The Void Hunters from beyond the galactic edge," Oji-min replied. "Machine entities that consume entire solar systems for raw materials. We have been quietly destroying their scout fleets for over 50 years. Impossible." War Commander Thaindok protested. Our long-range sensors would have detected such incursions. Your sensors detect what exists in normal space, Admiral Beck explained. The Void Hunters travel through dimensional rifts that your technology cannot perceive. We developed interdimensional detection systems specifically to track these threats. Lieutenant Colonel O continued. We have also dealt with 3 separate consuming swarm outbreaks in the Dark Nebulae, prevented for different stellar parasites from infecting populated systems, and stopped a rogue artificial intelligence from the Andromeda Galaxy that was attempting to establish a foothold in our region. The alien delegates stared at the holograms in stunned silence. While they had been arguing over trade routes and territorial disputes, humanity had been single-handedly protecting the entire galaxy from extinction-level threats. Our basic fleet, Admiral Beck continued, consists of 14,000 vessels equipped with technology that makes what you witnessed today look primitive. Each ship can manipulate space-time itself, travel instantaneously between star systems, and project defensive fields round entire planets. Commander Zixtel found his voice, though it was barely a whisper. 14,000 ships. The entire Council fleet numbers less than 3,000 vessels across all member species. We do not seek to intimidate, Captain Lee Jin-ho said. From the Harmony, we seek to protect. Our ships are not weapons of conquest, but tools of preservation. Every vessel is designed primarily for defense and rescue operations. Dr. Park brought up another display showing human rescue operations. In the past decade alone, our emergency response fleets have evacuated 17 worlds facing natural disasters, stopped 12 different plague outbreaks, and provided disaster relief to over 40 civilizations. You did this without revealing yourselves, Ambassador Velthar asked, her voice filled with wonder. We worked through intermediaries, provided anonymous aid, and allowed other species to take credit for the assistance. Admiral Beck confirmed. We prefer to help without recognition rather than create dependency or fear. General Krexavar struggled to comprehend the scope of what he was hearing. Your technology, your fleets, your defensive capabilities. You could have conquered the entire galaxy centuries ago. Conquest was never our goal. Lieutenant Colonel O replied. We learned from studying your histories that power without wisdom leads to destruction. We chose to use our strength to preserve rather than dominate. The holographic displays showed human installations throughout the galaxy, silent guardians watching over civilizations that had never known they existed. Defensive platforms stood ready to protect worlds whose inhabitants had no idea they were being shielded from cosmic horrors. We are tired of hiding, Admiral Beck said finally. The threats facing our galaxy are growing larger and more dangerous. We need partners, not subjects. We need allies who understand that true strength comes from protecting those who cannot protect themselves. The revelation hung in space like a new star, brilliant and impossible to ignore. The alien delegates sat in stunned silence as the full scope of humanity's hidden civilization became clear. Defense platforms that could erase planets, fleets that numbered in the thousands, and protective installations scattered throughout the galaxy, all invisible until this moment. Ambassador Velthara was the first to find her voice, though it trembled with the weight of what she had learned. The Council must vote on humanity's membership application. However, given these revelations, the situation has changed dramatically. General Krexavar, who had spent the morning boasting about his empire's military might, now looked like a child who had discovered he was playing with toys while adults wielded real weapons. The Dominion. We have territorial claims in 17 systems that we now realize are under human protection. We're under human protection, Captain Lee Jin-ho corrected gently. We have been quietly ensuring the safety of those systems for Over 80 years, your expansion into those regions was only possible because we eliminated the natural hazards that would have destroyed your colonies. The massive warrior-scaled face showed something that might have been shame, we thought. We were conquering empty space. You were. Helping us. Dr. Park Sumin nodded. The Kepler Nebula contains spatial anomalies that tear ships apart at the molecular level. We installed stabilization fields that allow safe passage. The Vegas system has a stellar parasite that feeds on artificial energy sources we contained it before your first mining operation arrived. War Commander Thaindok's mandibles clicked nervously. The hegemony has been planning military expansion into the Outer Rim territories. If you have been protecting those regions from threats we cannot even detect, you would have lost entire fleets to the Void Hunters within weeks. Lieutenant Colonel O.G. Min confirmed through the holographic display. We have been intercepting their scouts at the edge of your expansion zone for the past 3 years, Commander. Zixtel of the Trade Federation reviewed his data pad with shaking hands. Our merchant routes through the Krona sector, the ones we consider our safest trade lanes, are protected by 47 different human installations, Admiral Beck revealed. We clear debris, neutralize space-time distortions, and provide emergency assistance to vessels in distress. Your traders attribute their good fortune to luck and superior navigation. The reality of their situation settled over the alien delegates like a heavy blanket. They had been children playing in a garden, unaware that powerful guardians were constantly protecting them from dangers beyond their understanding. Ambassador Velthara composed herself and called for the formal vote. The question before the Council is no longer whether humanity deserves membership. The question is what form that membership should take. I propose immediate elevation to High Council status, declared General Krexavar, his voice carrying the respect. Any species with the power to protect the entire galaxy deserves our highest honors, seconded. War Commander Thaindok agreed quickly. The hegemony formally withdraws all territorial claims in human-protected space and offers full military cooperation. One by one, every delegate cast their vote. The result was unanimous. Humanity would receive not just membership, but a permanent seat on the ruling council with full authority over galactic defense matters. Dr. Park smiled as she recorded the historic vote. We accept this honor with the understanding that our role remains primarily protective. We will share our defensive technologies with peaceful species and coordinate responses to major threats. What about aggressive civilizations? Asked Ambassador Velthara, species that refuse to accept the new order. Captain Lee's expression remained calm but carried a subtle warning. We prefer diplomatic solutions, however. Any species that threatens the stability of the galaxy will find their expansion limited. Admiral Beek's hologram gestured to new displays showing human fleet positions. We are prepared to offer immediate protection to any council member facing external threats. Our response time to any location in the galaxy is measured in minutes, not days, and internal conflicts, General Krexavar asked, clearly thinking of several ongoing territorial disputes. We will not interfere in legitimate political disagreements. Lieutenant Colonel O assured him, but any conflict that threatens civilian populations or galactic stability becomes our concern. The implications were clear. Humanity had essentially become the galaxy's police force. Whether officially appointed or not, their hidden fleets could appear anywhere at any time, with power that made traditional military forces obsolete. Commander Zixtel looked up from his calculations. The economic implications alone. If human technology becomes available for civilian use, carefully regulated sharing, Dr. Park promised. We learned long ago that advanced technology in the wrong hands creates more problems than it solves. But clean energy, medical advances, and transportation improvements will be gradually introduced as your civilizations are ready. As the formal ceremonies concluded and the alien fleets prepared to depart, space round them began to shimmer again. Human vessels emerged from stealth throughout the system, sleek ships that moved without visible propulsion, their hulls glimmering with contained energy. "We are glad we can finally work together openly," Captain Lee said as the Harmony prepared to escort the Council fleet back to civilized space. The galaxy faces challenges that will require cooperation from all species. The defense platforms faded back into dimensional space, becoming invisible once more. But everyone now knew they were there, silent guardians watching over a galaxy that had just discovered it was far safer and far more protected than anyone had ever imagined. The age of hidden humanity was over. The age of galactic partnership had begun.